Today, we want this government to know that we want more teachers. We want this government to know that we need more resources for our schools. We need more resources for our children with special needs, our most vulnerable children. We need more time for teachers to do their job, more time for leaders to lead their schools, and above all, if we want to attract and retain teachers, we need to pay them properly. We need to have competitive systems in our pay that means that teachers don't run away after 5 years. So, more time, more pay, more resources, and more teachers. For time to work, for life to pay. Thank you, everybody.
So this morning we're out on sort of busy intersections. We're up near Motat, just to kind of let the public get a sense of how we're feeling about things, just to be visible basically. But of course we'd rather be in the bloody classroom. I mean, it's important they don't think it's a day off, because this ain't no day off. I mean, some people were up at 5 in the morning.
We're here this morning because 50,000 teachers are going out to try and get some fair pay so we can get some more teachers into the classrooms. We're going to go out this morning to Motat. We're going to stand on the street corners garnering community support, and we're going to gather down on Fort Street, march up to TS Square, and there'll be a great rally there. I'm pretty excited about it. It's always amazing when we see workers standing together for what we need. We're one of the few unionised workforces left in the country. I'm actually really disappointed it's come to this place that we've had to take industrial action, but I'm really proud of my colleagues for standing together and standing up for education. I'd just like Chris Hipkins to listen to us.
My whole teaching career I've been a member of the union. I suppose my simple answer to anybody that expresses doubt about that is, well mate, there's nobody else lining up to fight for your cause and fight for your conditions and fight for your salary.
It's different.
It's kind of like an endless job that you can just keep doing more and more work on. I've been teaching since 2007, so what does that make it? 12 years. And I love teaching English. It's a great subject. It's broad enough that you can kind of bring in history and classics and stuff into it if you really want. And I work about between 45 and 50 hours probably. Yeah. I'm head of house, which is the equivalent of a dean. At the moment I'm in the middle of organising the school ball. I do once a year we have a 48-hour film festival which I help in. So yeah, there's a few extra things, but the biggest role that I've had this year is the head of house position. I should do more than I do. I have been taking some shortcuts using old planning that I've done and adapting it, so that's been useful, but I can't say my lessons I feel have been as dynamic or as good as they have been in the past. They've definitely suffered.
If you had more time, you could teach better.
Yeah, definitely. You know, rehashing old lessons is okay, but they still need revising depending on the class in front of you, and at the moment I don't have a lot of time for that, to make it really relevant to the class. That extra stuff like creating resources and stuff is, I've found I just don't have the time for at the moment, which is what makes a class effective, you know, differentiated lessons and extension tasks and stuff, but all of that takes time, which I just don't have.
What do you think the solution is?
Less students in a classroom. If I've had 30 students in a class, then I see them less in the class. It's so much more marking and it's so much more planning, and there's just more room for those students when in the class to slip through gaps and get away with maybe not being on task. It just makes behaviour management much more tricky and all of those things. So if you've got less, you can direct their learning a bit more individualised, and you can monitor them and see where they're up to, and there's just less room for them to hide in the best way possible. Yeah.
Kia ora, I'm Melanie Webber. I'm a classroom teacher and a head of house at Western Springs College, Ngāpunawa Waiarea. I love teaching media. I love teaching in general. I don't understand why people talk so badly about teenagers, because teenagers are the absolute loveliest. I don't like the way that at times assessment can end up driving the curriculum. So we end up talking more about what are we assessing now rather than what are we teaching now. I think it's really important that there's space in the curriculum for all those bigger discussions that you can have. Probably my biggest thing that I struggle with is balancing the various hats that I wear. So I'm a classroom teacher, I'm a head of house, but also I do a lot of work outside of the school. So I'm the vice president of the Secondary Teachers Union. A huge amount of what I do is around advocating for quality public education. I believe incredibly strongly that every child, every student in New Zealand should have the best possible education. We're struggling with finding teachers at the moment in particular subject areas, in particular areas, and if we're going to be able to bring out the best for all our students, we need to make sure we have the best people in front of them. And that means paying teachers like trained professionals.
Unprecedented scenes around the country today.
3, 4, teachers walking out the door.
For the first time, primary and secondary teachers uniting to change what they call a crisis. They want better wages, reduced workloads and more support, saying the government's combined $1.2 billion offer isn't good enough.
We don't do it for the money, do we, people?
Put your hands in the air and let me hear you if you are angry and frustrated at your day-to-day reality.
We don't have to ask permission to stop school for a day. We tell them that we're stopping school for a day.
How did you get 15,000 teachers to march along Queen Street?
It was amazing, 15,000 teachers marching up Queen Street. We just did it. We had a small organising committee who made contact with the police to make sure that everyone was safe. And then we just sent the word out to teachers, and teachers are good at organising.
Oh,